playing the ball.
Schultz back to pass. Pressure coming from the left side. He chucks it deep in, and it's caught! Tipped and caught! Touchdown, Calvert! Another miraculous catch by the Senecas.
And now presented by Knox Community Hospital, and as you heard there from the silky, enthusiastic pipes of Jared Moore, that's right, high school football is officially back right here in North Central Ohio. My name is Brian Skronsky. I'm going to be your host yet again, and as you saw in that clip and you heard, of course, had some very exciting plays go down over the last couple of nights on the high school gridiron, but we're going to begin tonight with the game of the night right in our own backyard. Richland County rivals going toe-to-toe. Lucas, the little guy, going over to Clear Fork to take on their county rival, and this thing came down to the wire. The last two times that they played, it would be no exception tonight. My guy Andy Jardy was in the house over at the Colt Corral to take this whole thing in, and I would say, Jardo, that this thing basically went as expected. A couple of rough and tumble teams going toe-to-toe, and just somebody had to win at the end.
Yeah, someone did have to win at the end, Brian, and this is exactly the kind of game we expected it to be tonight. Both teams evenly matched, hard-fought game up front. Really wasn't sure who was going to come away with it. We just knew that it was going to be close, as the previous meetings have been close. The last year, a one-point game. 2020, a three-point game as well. And we'll have those highlights here for you in just a moment. But it was a great atmosphere in Clear Fork tonight. Place was packed. There were people on both sides. Clear Fork filled it out. Lucas brought their own fans as well. As you said, I think during the broadcast, Brian, Lucas brought the entire city to the game there tonight. It was packed.
They shut it down, man.
They did. It was great. Let's take a look at the highlights, though, show you how it got done, because this was a thriller. We had double overtime action for you, but it starts off first quarter, an 8.5-minute opening drive. Luke Schlosser, 1-yard touchdown run, 7-0. Just before the half now, Logan Toms is not in on that play. Actually, I'm not quite sure what plays we're seeing. This is just Schlosser here. This is Schlosser on the night, Brian, if I'm not mistaken. He had himself a solid game, though, with 24 carries, 99 yards, and 2 touchdowns. So he had an impressive game tonight. There you see the touchdown run that got things going, a 1-yard run, 7-0 Clear Fork. And then just before halftime, Logan Toms. I still don't know how he scored on this play. Like, what kind of moves are those? It's ridiculous. Knotted up at 7 at halftime.
Slippery.
We're going to skip the second half. It was nothing but punts. So here we start in the first overtime. It's Logan Toms again, this time from 4 yards out. That makes it 14-7 Lucas. And then on Clear Fork's possession, it's Schlosser again, this time from 10 yards out. We are knotted up at 14. We go to the second overtime. Clear Fork has first possession. Kickers are people too. Adam Van Osdel, 37 yards. If it had been from 38, it wouldn't have been good. Gets it in 17-14. Lucas now, chance to win if they score a touchdown. Their first play from scrimmage, Grayson Jackson. His man is open, but it's Davis Hoflick, the freshman. Aloha and good night on Hawaiian night. And Clear Fork gets the win, 17-14. Absolute thriller of a game. And an absolute crushing loss if you're Lucas. They had him. They had him, Brian.
They had him. And he's a freshman, man. That's the kid that everyone's been talking about. He was the high school national high jump champion in 8th grade, coming out, doing some high jump stuff there, coming down with a big pick. But it just felt, Andy, like in the overtimes, like Lucas was going to win this game. I don't know why, but that was the sensation. That's kind of how things were playing out. But it didn't finish that way. Why?
Yeah, honestly, someone had to lose the game, and it was going to come down to whoever made a mistake first. And Lucas, that was the only turnover of the game, was that interception there, and it cost them the game. They had him on the ropes. I don't know if it's interesting. If the pass is completed there in the second overtime, they win. We're all applauding the decision. But they hadn't thrown the ball well all night. I don't know if I liked the shot on the first play. You only needed a field goal to tie it. They'd been able to run the ball a little bit better in the second half. Maybe you kind of just continue that, see if you can get something going. But, man, what a tough way to lose. It just felt like Lucas had them, and for some reason, it just slipped away from them against Clear Fork again.
And a little bit of controversy, though, Andy. We took a phone call on our drive back from the Colt Corral. You've been reached out to about this as well. So let's go ahead and run that clip, and let's show you what happened in the first overtime where, you're about to see, so there's a great completed pass here. Weren't a lot of those in
Yeah.
tonight's game. That's a first down to the 6-yard line. But then the spiked ball ends up being a 15-yard penalty. And there's a lot of back and forth about what the correct call was. They ended up getting a 1st and 10 back from the 21. What should have happened?
So we don't know what should have happened. That's what we're debating. And if anyone knows the answer, please let us know. But from what I understand, I reached out to a former coach before I came on the air here. To his understanding, it should have been 1st and goal from the 21-yard line. They had already established the 1st and goal on that completion. This was a 4th down play in the first overtime, so there's no clock issues or anything. The clock was at 0 minutes, 0 seconds because it's in overtime. So that made it 1st and goal from the 6. Now, the penalty should have made it 1st and goal from the 21 if we understand the rule correctly. However, they ruled 1st and 10 from the 21. Clear Fork would then be given another opportunity to pick up another 1st down, which they ended up doing. So they scored on 5 plays. Who knows if it's 1st and goal from the 21, maybe they don't score a touchdown in 4 plays and keep this game going on. That's if I understand the rule correctly. I'm not saying I do, and if anyone knows, please let us know if it should have been 1st and goal from the 21 or if they got it right 1st and 10 from the 21.
Well, the internet is never wrong, Andy.
Never.
And what we
It
found
never
out
is.
Per our research and from talking to some folks, both answers are correct.
It's so confusing.
I can't figure it out.
I don't get it.
Because we saw, according to an article that happened now, and this was in the NFL,
Correct.
but in the Patriots game. that
Yes.
It was played out exactly how it was there.
Very similar, yeah.
And then we've also heard that, no, it's been done the other way. So, guys, I don't know. It's like the black hole of penalty calls. Like you go in there and nobody ever comes out like correctly. We just don't know the correct answer.
We don't know the correct answer, and it all could have been avoided if we just didn't throw the flag in the first place. That was my stance with it. Let the kids have some emotion. He didn't show anybody up. Like it was a 4th down conversion, huge play to keep the game alive. I didn't have an issue with him spiking the football, but I know that's frowned upon. But should it have been 1st and goal or 1st and 10? That's really the big question here.
Well, my big question for you before we let you get out of here then, so you got to see both of these teams. Lucas, of course, is going to compete in Division 7, and they have a very favorable schedule, like kind of over the last 5 weeks of the season, though they come out with some tough competition. And then you saw Clear Fork, they got to compete in the MOAC. Who do you have a better feeling about moving forward for the rest of the season?
Well, it's easy to say Lucas because they played up a couple divisions tonight and almost won. But as we talked about on the broadcast, this game is so tough for Clear Fork because they have everything to lose and really nothing to win. You're playing a couple divisions down. If you lose, it's just everyone thinks your program isn't very good. If you win, you're not going to get as many computer points as a Lucas would for winning up a couple divisions. But I think right now, I think Lucas is a little bit further along. I know they didn't close it out tonight, but like you talked about, their schedule is a little bit more manageable. They've got a little bit more talent ready right now, I think, and their style of play is a little bit harder for teams to prepare for. If Clear Fork can get some consistent play out of the quarterback position and they're able to really divide up the play calling and balance the passing more with the rushing, then they're going to be Clear Fork that we know and be there at the end of the season. I think they're both playoff teams. I think they're going to have some growing pains as they get their new quarterback situated this year. But right now, I would take Lucas over Clear Fork at this point in the season, even though they lost.
Yeah, I'm very intrigued by Clear Fork moving forward, and you and I are both going to be over at the Colt Corral next
will.
week, taking on the only team that beat them in the regular season
Yeah.
last year in Granville. So definitely looking forward to calling that with you, Andy.
Can't wait. See you then.
Thanks for the time, man. For Lucas, it's a little bit more, challenging because now they got to go back on the road yet again, and they're going to be taking on a Hillsdale team that was a big winner tonight. They took down Black River 34-8, and the head coach of the team joining us on the Friday Night Pigskin hotline right now. So let's go ahead and bring in Trevor Klein. There he is. Looks like he's kicked back. He's at the crib, maybe in the den.
Hey, Brian.
Already watching tape. Hey, be honest with me, Coach. Are you already getting ready for next week? Can you not enjoy one win?
Well, I'm going to break down our film tonight, and Coach Spittler and I just exchanged film, so we're going to start preparing for one another this week.
As I figured would be the case. Let's talk about your win, though, tonight, and tell me what did you like most about your team's collective overall performance? Because offensively, over 30 points, you got to like that. And anytime you hold a team to one score, that's always a big accomplishment for a defense.
I liked how physical we were tonight. Didn't go our way, but I thought our physicality was great tonight, and that's what we expect moving forward. But overall, for a first game, it was good.
Talk to me about your senior quarterback, Jack Fickus. He had a couple of TD throws, had a touchdown run as well, taking over for Jake Haverstock, who's been kind of a staple there for the last couple of seasons. What did you think about his first career start as a signal caller?
Jack played really well for us. Quarterback isn't an unfamiliar area for him. He played quarterback for us coming up through our system. He just moved to receiver this past year due to Jake Haverstock being our quarterback and Jack being able to help us out at receiver. But Jack stepped right back in.
And then also, Coach, you've got a sophomore running back who had a big impact tonight, Owen Sloan. It seemed like he got a lot of reps as a freshman towards the end of last season. How big do you think that was for him heading into this new campaign, that he was able to step in and play some big minutes, of course, tonight?
Owen stepped into our starting running back position about week 4 last year, and each week he continued to get better up into the point of the week 12 game against Danville last year, where I feel he had his best game offensively, and he took right off where he left off last year and had a really good night. But that's all due to he's one of our hardest workers in our program, and he does the right thing not only on Friday nights but during the off season too, in the weight room, and then when we're at practice, and also in the classroom he does a good job. I'm pretty sure he works hard about anything that he does in life.
Before we move on to week 2, Coach, let's let you enjoy this just a little bit. How do you enjoy your evenings coming off of a nice W? When you get home, what's one of the first things that you like to do?
One of the first things I like to do is I like to check Twitter to see how the area schools did. So I enjoy high school sports and high school football, so I always look forward to looking to see how the Wayne County League schools did, and also the teams that are on our schedule. And then also I like to always check just the area schools. Like Coach Valentine and I are good friends, so I was glad to see that he got a big win tonight, at least according to Twitter they did. So I enjoy looking at area scores.
Well, Twitter usually gets it right, so you can take that to the bank, Coach. And I'm sure that you saw, of course, in the game film that you just got from Coach Spittler, that they lost a tough one in double overtime. So they're going to be, really wanting to get a win next week. Don't want to drop to 0-2. But the last couple of years, they've got you on some one-point thrillers at the end of games. So this one feels like kind of revenge factor versus revenge factor. Give me a quick breakdown and analysis of what do you think it's going to take to knock off a team like the Cubs next week?
We all know it's going to be a physical team. Lucas is a great program. Coach Spittler does a great job with them. They're a very fundamental football team. The last 2 years have been great. End of the game, and we're looking forward to playing them again. But I just think for us, especially last year, what hurt us, we had a couple of drives earlier on in the game where we had opportunities and just missed out on them. So if we want to beat a program like Lucas, we can't have that early on in the game, because it's going to come back to hurt us later on, and we're going to be right there at the end of the game like we were last year and giving ourselves a shot. We're just coming up a little bit short, but playing one of the better programs in Division VII football.
Well, here at the OH.Report, I know that we are geeked to get over there for our first ever live stream at your brand new, beautiful stadium. Travis Brardy's in the background right now. He's throwing some fist bumps up. He's very excited to come over there. So best of luck to you, Coach. Would love to see you get off to a nice 2-0 start against a really good team like Lucas, but try to enjoy it a little bit, all right? Get on your Twitter. Do what you got to do to kick back and relax here before you get back to the grinder week 2.
Thank you. We will enjoy it, and we will enjoy it for tonight, but we're looking forward to having you guys a part of this year too, and I know our players and our community is excited about it.
All right, Trevor Klein, head coach of the Hillsdale Falcons. Big win tonight, 34-8 on the road at Black River. All right, we're going to step aside and take a quick commercial break. When we come back, so many highlights that your head is going to spin. All the action that you wanted to see from last night's thrilling games to tonight's big-time contest, all that and more on the other side here on the Pigskin.
At Knox Community Hospital, your primary care physician is more than someone who delivers your test results, more than someone who writes prescriptions, more than someone who listens to your heart. We are your healthcare partner who takes the time to know you, listen to your concerns, and provide you with expert personalized care to make and keep you well. Because to us, you're more than just numbers on a chart. You're a neighbor and a friend. Knox Community Hospital, in the community, for the community.
May be the Friday night Pigskin, and it might actually be early Saturday morning, but guess what? The season actually kicks off on Thursday night. We had a couple of great games for you right here on the OH Report just like not that long ago. I know that Travis Berardi was over at one, and we both agree Thursday, it's a pretty good time for some football for high school.
Absolutely, Brian. You get all summer to prepare for your week 1 opponent. Then you get an extra day to prepare for your week 2 opponent. I don't know why there are more teams. We had Shelby, I think, in Madison do it one year, Lexington, Ontario, but they went back to the regular schedule. Get that extra day of preparedness in for the second week. But I digress, and I was at Mohawk and Calvert. It was a great game. The WBCO crew was with me, Jared Moore and Tim Byrie, and it was a fun way to start the 2023 season, so let's get right to the highlights. Opening game of this high school football season, the Warriors are back at home trying to avenge last season's loss to the Senecas. They came back in the second half to beat Mohawk 26-9. After a scoreless first, Calvert breaks through Cal Warnament from 1 yard out. It's 7-0, but the Warriors would answer. Ben Bogner from 18 yards out pinballs his way through traffic to pay dirt. Extra point no good. It's 7-6 at the half. Second half now, Bogner looking deep, and Brian, you might be able to make this pass. He finds a wide open Kane Heyman, 55 yards, 2-point conversion, no good. It's 12-7. Then in the fourth, it's that call of the night to lead off the show. Harry Schultz tries to match Bogner. It's underthrown, but through the defender's hands and right to Jacob Rombach. 40 yards, Calvert leads 14-12. Now to the final seconds of the game, and somewhat a controversial play. Bogner is going to look to the end zone. It's caught. Mohawk wins, right? But hold the phone. Offensive pass interference. The wide receiver was held as well, but they called pass interference. They get one final chance. Bogner throws the incomplete pass, and Tiffin Calvert is going to survive this one 14-12. I know the WBCO crew was wondering why it wasn't at least offsetting penalties there on that final play before that incomplete pass, but nonetheless, referees made the call. Calvert wins it once again. It's back-to-back years that Tiffin has won against Mohawk.
I've got a little bit of an achy, breaky heart for those Warriors. It just seems like a really tough way for the night to end when you think that you've just had a walk-off. And then I think controversial is the right way to put that because the call could have went either way.
It could have went either way. It could have not even been called because during that play, I know we had it on the quarterback, but the wide receiver is pretty much getting held the whole time trying to stay, with the defender. And then a little bit of a shove off, gave him a little bit of room, makes that amazing catch off the sidelines, and the referee throws the flag for one. Either you don't get yourself into the game or you call it both ways and just replay the down. That put Mohawk out of field goal range as well. So it was a double whammy for them, and then they couldn't complete the pass as time expired.
And for Mohawk fans, you got to imagine that they're having nightmares about number 28 in a Calvert uniform just making big catches because it wasn't just this season. Last year, killed them.
Yeah, a couple touchdowns, especially the second half comeback that they had. But there was a pass that was picked off just like that earlier on in the night. So the ball's up in the air. We're like, oh, Mohawk's going to get this pick and maybe pull it off. But right through the hands, and it's Jacob Rombach. He had some good rushing during the night, but he's going to be known for the tip drill touchdown. That's what made him our MVP as well.
All right, Trav, there was another game last night that I was at over at Winford taking on Galion, cross-county rivals, and I'll let you kind of hang out with me for this one.
Sure.
Let's go ahead and spin that beautiful bean footage and show you what went down on the gridiron last night over there in Royals country. So you saw Galion, they got off to a nice start there, getting into the end zone. They led it early, and then, how about a blocked punt, and then it's recovered in the end zone. So special teams, we talk about kickers are people too.
Oh, absolutely they are.
How about just special teams in general being a big factor all around the area over the last couple of nights? Winford, though, they would make some big plays. I really loved what we saw from the quarterback getting his first start last night. Ashton Warren, big-time connection right there, and Winford gets themselves right back into the football game when it looked like, and I heard some of the chitter-chatter below us from in the press box, like maybe Galion was going to run away with this game. Did not happen. So on the ensuing kickoff here, the up man's going to take it. I believe this is Elijah Chafin with the run back. Rumbling,
more than a run back.
Bumbling. Oh, wait.
Whoa! How did he get out of that after the hurdle, though?
I seen a parent took that off of our YouTube, and he sent it to ESPN Sports Center and said, check out this dude.
Why not?
Hurdling a kid.
Why not?
That was pretty awesome.
That was awesome. Special teams.
We are far from done, sir. So it looked like Galion again might take control, but look at that throw on the money. And that's the same connection. Number 1 to number 2 equals 6 on the scoreboard. So Winford, again, you want to leave them for dead, but they just had too much heart and desire. They would come back. Here comes Warren. A nice run to the outside. And the field, it got a little bit sloppy as the night went along. Here he is, piecing out. 3 total touchdowns for him. Definitely would have been the MVP if Winford would have been able to hang on to win this game. You see the scoreboard there. It's about to be 21-20 because they would miss the PAT. And then this was kind of the game-clinching touchdown right there. The big fella getting loose in the end zone as we see Braxton Prosser throw his lone touchdown pass of the night, making it 28-20 for the Tigers, who had a totally balanced effort. I thought that they did it in all facets of the game. I got a chance to talk to Matt Dick, their head coach, after the game, and he
made him
said the
MVP.
exact same thing. So,
It seems like always, especially early on in the season, that most teams may be matched offensively and defensively, but it always comes down to those special teams and who makes the more plays.
Fair.
It was in my game tonight at Centerburg as well, but Galion, under head coach Matt Dick, they started coming on as the season went on last year, and it seems like they're building with a win like this now in game number 1. But a lot of playmakers. I'm impressed with Winford's passing attack as well. If they can get some other things going, maybe get that special teams a little bit more shored up, they could be something to look at in the Northern 10 going forward.
I liked both teams last night for sure. I think there's a lot of potential for them competing within their conferences. Galion could be a bit of a dark horse, I think, in the MOAC if they stay healthy.
I think it's open. I think it's an open conference, Brian.
I couldn't agree more with the likes of Gabe Ivey coming back. He wasn't big for them last night, but he did enough. And then defensively, they got some dudes that can get it done. But Winford in that Northern 10, there's the bottom half of that conference. Definitely, I think that they can handle. Can they compete with the likes of Carey and Colonel Crawford at the top? That's going to be their tough challenge.
Well, they're even with Carey. Carey with a loss to Hopewell Loudon, as you see on the scoreboard. Colonel Crawford pulled out a great win last night. One of the games we couldn't cover because it was all the way back in the Ohio Valley. They beat River, a team that you always see in the D7 playoffs. They beat them 21-20. So Colonel Crawford, after 1 week, 1-0, right at the top of the standings for the non-conference.
And speaking of pulling out games, how about what happened Ontario and Lexington tonight? This one would not be decided until there was just 3 ticks left on the clock.
What do we say about kickers, maybe?
Maybe special teams does matter. Let's go ahead. Let's roll these highlights of Ontario and Lexington. I have not seen these yet. I'm very excited. I'm told that's the first play from scrimmage right there. Lexington takes it in for a touchdown, and they led it 7-0 early on in the game. Ontario, they would come back and they would answer to make it 7-7. Chase Studer with the score, and then the PAT is good. So that's the count. So let's take you now 14-7 here. Mason Van Tilburg, 22 yards. That's a house call. So Ontario with the slim lead, but Lexington on a 4th and goal. Markel Martin, he sneaks in there. So we're all tied up, Travis, and there's just a few seconds left on the clock. What's going to happen? Ontario's going to drive down. This is for the game. 3 seconds left, and Trey Booker, he's going to KFC because that's the chicken dinner winner right there with the big field goal for the dub. So you love saying for the brand with the kickers.
3 words, for the brand, 3 points. Warriors win the backyard rivalry. Ontario, they're a team that could be on the up and up. Another one of those teams in the MOAC. They get a big test next week as they head to Centerburg to take on the defending KMAC champs. Tough non-conference schedule for Ontario. If they can get out of it 2-1, 3-0, look out MOAC because the Warriors might be back, baby.
And we saw them last year get off to a 3-0 start. Once they got into the conference, kind of tailed off a little, well, kind of a lot. So we're thinking now in year 2 with the coaching staff that's put together, I like their potential a lot more than I did a season ago. And Lexington, too, I don't want to count them out.
No,
I think the OCC is going to be incredibly tough, but I think that they'll be a lot more competitive than what we've seen probably the last couple seasons.
Well, absolutely. We also saw MOAC, OCC, River Valley, Ashland going to overtime with Ashland winning that by 6. Another OCC squad, Worcester, was actually down big to Orville before coming back and winning that game by 2. So, I think these conferences are a little bit more open than we expected before the games tonight and last night.
Well, we had another game on OH.Report tonight between 2 perennial powers that I was really, really interested to see how it was all going to shake out. Worthington Christian at Danville, both teams playoff runs from a season ago, and it's kind of been building to where they've got a lot of talent back. So how would this baby shake out? We're going to throw it over to the Pigpen Cutie Corner. It's got so many nicknames. They probably got a new one for it here tonight, and I'll just let them take it away. G-Man and Storm.
I don't know. I'm kind of liking the Cutie Corner, us matching tonight. It's a little cute little thing we got going on. But, of course, Storm Blunchley joined by the illustrious Garrett Parlett. And, Garrett, it was an exciting one tonight. I think this one, it was a lot closer than the score let on.
Yeah, Storm. Danville ended up pulling away late in the game, but at halftime, it was not at 14 apiece, and both teams were really going at it. And Danville really, they had all the momentum in the first quarter, Storm. They lost it by halftime. Let's roll the highlights and really see what happened down there in Blue Devil Country.
Yeah, so to start things off, we had Walker Weckesser, who's going to need some foam zone 150 after cleaning his cleats off. He ran so much over this Worthington Christian team as he takes it 14 yards in for the first score of the night.
Yeah, Strom, you mentioned he's not done yet. This is his second touchdown of the night, this time in the first quarter. 1:55 left, 34-yard scamper for the QB. He takes it in for 6. It's 14-0 Blue Devils.
2:05 left in the second now as Worthington Christian would get on the board as Rakes has a touchdown pass to Jacob Corbin here on the beautiful rollout, able to find his man and get on the board.
And Storm, Worthington Christian's offense through the air looked pretty good and pretty solid all night long. Sometimes they weren't able to find those open receivers, but Rakes, when he hit them in stride, Storm, they usually made the second man miss, and you see it once again right here. Rakes is going to hit Robinson for a 25-yard touchdown pass to get it to 14 apiece.
That would be our final score of the half, as in the third quarter, Worthington Christian would open things up. Excuse me, this is Danville. I believe this is
Weckesser. That's a new Mr. Unlimited.
The new Mr. Unlimited on a 7-yard rushing touchdown.
And the running back that's not wearing purple this year, Cole DeLauders, who's wearing blue and black for Danville. 17-yard touchdown run for big guy.
Fourth quarter now, Cole DeLauder, once again, 27 yards down the sideline. He'll take that one to pay dirt.
And then Storm, Danville will put the nail in the coffin here and finish it off with the touchdown from Jack Hockman. QB rushing touchdown. This will be all she wrote, as I believe this is the backup Storm for JV. So Danville, it was all over in the fourth quarter. They had over 300 rushing yards. The D-line played big too, and a big win for Danville Storm as they move to 1-0.
And Garrett, I feel like there was definitely a tipping point in this game in the favor of Worthington Christian. Danville had a turnover. Worthington Christian drives it all the way down to the 2-yard line. Yep. Somehow they cough up the football, and after that, Danville's able to score. So I don't know. It's almost like Worthington Christian had an opportunity to win it, but just couldn't put it together.
Yeah, Storm, they had all the chance in the world tonight to win this game. The Warriors did, especially on the road against a team like the Blue Devils coming out with, the kind of atmosphere the K-Mac team does down there in Blue Devil country, but just weren't able to get it done. I thought they should have stuck to the run game, Storm, a little bit more. The Warriors did. When they did, they had success. They kind of went to the air with Rakes, and they had their success at times, but when he wasn't able to hit those receivers in stride, just wasn't able to get it done as the Blue Devils pick up a big win.
Yeah, there were a lot of defensive adjustments from Danville. They kind of took away the passing offense for Worthington Christian there to start that second half and pretty much shut them down all second half.
Well, Storm, I think you can credit the defensive line of Danville for that. They had multiple sacks tonight. They even had an interception, Storm, that almost went to the house.
55, I think.
Yeah, but he wasn't able to take it all the way in. But still, their D-line played big in this game, especially in the second half. They shut down that run game, and then were able to pin their ears back and get after the quarterback, Kobe Rakes, and shut down the Warriors here on the road as Danville. Huge win, Storm, especially against a playoff team, as Brian mentioned, like Worthington Christian.
Yeah, and as I mentioned, this was a battle here in the first half. I do think, like I said, the score was a lot closer than kind of what the final score had said. This is going to be two really tough teams that nobody's going to want to face on their schedule.
Yeah, Storm, and I think I'll go out on a limb here and say I think Danville, for me, is my favorite in the K-Mac. What I've seen tonight, Cole DeLauder coming over. They got Walker Weckesser. That defensive line was absolutely disgusting, Storm. I'll even throw out, I think they're winning the K-Mac over Trav's Northmor.
Ooh, ouch. But I think that's going to do it over here for the first rendition of the Cutie Corner. We're going to throw things over back to Brian. Thanks so much for having us on again this year, Brian.
Hey, guys, and I love that you guys are matching this year. It's all coming together. It's working. Can we get one more shot over here? Look at this. That's right. New profile pic. Hashtag, baby. All right, well, they're talking about Danville maybe being the favorite in the K-Mac after we come back from a quick commercial break. And we do have K-Mac Plus in the house, too, so I'm interested to get Mason Kidwell's kind of like ideas of who some of the top dogs are going to be. We got highlights of the defending K-Mac champions, and then Travis's Golden Knights still on the way. Keep it right there.
At Knox Community Hospital, your primary care physician is more than someone who delivers your test results, more than someone who writes prescriptions, more than someone who listens to your heart. We are your healthcare partner who takes the time to know you, listen to your concerns, and provide you with expert personalized care to make and keep you well. Because to us, you're more than just numbers on a chart. You're a neighbor and a friend. Knox Community Hospital, in the community, for the community.
Back here on the Friday Night Pigskin as we begin to wrap things up. But before we get into KMAC action, shout out to Jack Fickus and the performance he had tonight watching tonight on the OH Report. Thank you for watching. Can't wait to get there next week. But my name is KMAC Trav, so let's get right to the KMAC action tonight. One of the best conferences around here, one of the most competitive conferences in the area, as Centerburg takes on Utica, yeah. And there's Jesse Rings, the quarterback, gifted the football, takes it back, scoop and score. It is 7-0 Trojan. Ensuing kickoff, the Redskins looking right into the sun, and it's a fumble. Takes a couple friendly hops and into the hands of Centerburg. Kalen Lemaster would punch that, and it's 14-0 a little bit later. Time running out in the half. Trojans need 10 yards to get in the field goal range, but Rings goes for it all, and Trevin Harris says, I will take you to the promised land, sir. Toe touch touchdown, 21-0 Berg at the break. And then in the second half, Harris, he's like, I'm just going to do it on both sides of the ball, bro. That is going to be a pick six. No one going to touch him there. Trojans avenge last regular season's lone loss in the opener, extends their regular season win streak to 10, 34-7, and sets up a big matchup in week 2 as the Trojans will host the Ontario Warriors. Now, Brian, this game was at Highland tonight. They had some turf issues at Centerburg. They're going to try and get that game at Centerburg. We'll have it for you live and free next week, but if not, it's going to be a big walnut. But no matter where the game's going to be, we will have that game for you live and free on the OH Report. I can't wait for that Week 2 matchup. Ontario, Centerburg, it's going to be a good one.
And I do love the venue at the Berg there in the heart of Ohio, so hopefully they can get the field back up where it needs to be. But Big Walnut, that's a pretty good backup plan, as is Highland. So that was cool that you got to go down there and experience that. And this did, to me, feel like a redemption game where Centerburg, Utica didn't have a great year last year. And Centerburg was loaded. So it definitely felt to me like they kind of came together and were like, not this year. Let's kind of level them and let them know that the Berg is for real.
Centerburg really impressed me despite losing all Ohioans. Tyler Johnson, Tim Tebow 2.0. Big John Geiger, who was watching also, so shout out to John for watching the game. Mason Lanthorn on defense as well. A couple All-Ohioans, despite losing them, they did not skip a beat. Jesse Rings goes from wideout to quarterback, did pretty darn good. Kalen Lemaster, 24 carries, 201 yards. He had 100 yards in the first half on 12 carries, 100 in the second half on 12 carries, a touchdown in each half as well. The line is blocking. They're tackling better. The outside, the wide receivers and the backs are getting those extra blocks to allow the running backs to get a couple yards. They are playing like it's Week 6 football in Week 1. Head coach Andy Coella has them playing perfectly. And Kalen said after the game in the MVP interview, he said, we were coached up so well that we were calling their plays out before they ran them.
Wow. Yeah, you got to like that when you're that prepared and making the adjustments like that. You saw what they did to him in the second half. So reloading once again in Centerburg. And it's a little bit different story for the Golden Knights over there
Golden Knights, baby.
North Bloomfield Township, because they got a lot of pieces back. Not decimated by graduation like Centerburg was, even though they're kind of plug and playing with the new guys. So let's show you what the Golden Knights were able to do on the road tonight in their season opener at Upper Sandusky, a team that had high expectations coming in this year, feeling like they could be a Northern 10 Conference contender. And we're just going to jump right into it. Let's get into this first run by Paul Kramer. It's 7-0 quickly. Now we'll slow things down a bit as A.J. Bowers going up top. See ya.
What just happened?
50-yard touchdown. That's Jackson Wanga getting into the zone. It was 14 center. Golden Knights on top. Now we take you to the second quarter. Cohen Becker, 87-yard tutty
Look
here.
at Coach running down the sideline.
Woo, everybody's getting after it. So 21-7 now. Northmor after that big play. Gavin Fry, though, gonna make it a little bit closer. 5-yard touchdown reception there for Upper. But in the fourth quarter, Hunter Folk, he kind of put the baby to bed. He rocked him to sleep, not once, but he's gonna do it again. It was like the kid just wouldn't go to bed, and it's like, okay, it's bedtime. Good night. 35 and 53-yard picks, 6 house calls to seal the win for Northmor, 42-21. And even though you're a total homer, even though you didn't go to Northmor, I know that you were high on this team, but for good reason. They've got people back at every level on defense, and then offensively, Trav, they lose their big hammer in the backfield, of course, but they got a lot of dudes that are back filling in the same roles that they played a season ago. I think this could be the most dangerous team in the K-MAC.
Absolutely. Shout out Max Lauer, but remember, he was hurt for half the year. So Paul Kramer and a couple of the other running backs, Caleb Chenier, they had to fill that gap last year, and it helped them out. The defense, though, that defense was flying around. I was listening to the game on my way back from Centerburg. The WQEL guys are really high on that defense as well. But the secondary, I've seen that the last 2 years. They've always had a great secondary. Hunter Falk, though, back-to-back pick sixes. You rarely see that anywhere. This is a team that can do things. A.J. Bauer last year, he had some big receiving pieces. Corin Becker, Wenger, Hunter Falk. Bo Landon didn't even get a catch in this game, and he made some spectacular plays last year. So the Golden Knights, a big statement victory in the way they were able to pull away, because Upper Sandusky's no slouch. Caden Holman threw for 203 yards as well, 3 touchdowns, 2 picks. A.J. Bauer, though, on the night, just a little bit better. 255 through the air, 2 touchdowns and a pick. Northmor also was able to run for close to 100 yards, so a balance like that is going to be big for them. On the other side of things, rushing big. Caden Holman, he does it all. He had 80-plus yards rushing in this game, 203 yards passing, and then Ward and Hale also 40 yards. So it's a balanced squad also for Upper Sandusky, but I think this is going to be a big win for Northmor moving forward because of playoff points. I know it's week 1 and everything, but playoff points are big, especially if Upper Sandusky can go on a roll. Every time they get a win, it helps out Northmor. So I think these are 2 really good teams, and this is a game that should be played maybe in week 7 or 8 instead of week 1.
So we feel like Northmor could be a contender. Certainly Centerburg, they're defending champs. They beat everybody in the league last year. Danville could be the favorite. So where does East Knox fit into the mix? They were one of the bottom feeders last year. Cole DeLauder transfers over to Danville. He's been their top guy the last couple of seasons. They were hosting Northridge tonight, and we got some highlights. Go ahead, crank up the volume on this one, because our guy calling his first ever high school football game for OH.Report, Jonathan Langdon, was on the call, and he thought you should hear it. Here we go.
Right, once again, rolls in, still on his feet, touchdown, East Knox. 6 on the board for the home team. Here's the handoff, and they'll go to Blake Elliott once again. Breaks tackle, is at the 10, 5, in the end zone. Is he there? Yes, he is. Touchdown, Blake Elliott, his second of this game. 2nd and 3, ball in the 27. Here's the snap. Juke move to get past the first defender, running into the outside, and the ball pops out. Recovered by Keith, and the Bulldogs have it.
For my money, like, Chet Looney Stadium is way up there for best in the entire area, maybe the entire state, for small school football atmosphere. So Travis, I gotta tell you, from after what we saw last year, East Knox not having a whole lot of success, I think this is a really feel-good story. I know it's Northridge, but coming out week 1, getting a win and performing like that in front of the home crowds, man, I can hear that air horn and those cowbells right now, baby.
Yeah, I mean, they even gave us cowbells. I mean, look at this thing. It's awesome. The air horn, I mean, even though they put it right next to our broadcast spot and we can't hear ourselves afterwards, I'm going to put this down before our producer shoots me because he doesn't want the noise. There we go. Anyway, Chet Looney Stadium, great atmosphere, and I'm so happy for them to get that week 1 win because it's not going to get easier in week 2. They got to go to Crestview and take on the Cougars, but a great win. Yeah, who lost, surprisingly. You know, they lost it by 8 points or 9 points to Seneca East tonight. But a great step number 1 for East Knox. Get off the schneid early and use that momentum, hopefully, into week number 2 against Crestview.
Well, I think that kind of puts a bow on tonight's show, Travis, but one thing that we definitely learned is that we've got some great football here in the area, but a lot of the conference races, we don't have like a pony that we feel like is going to be head and shoulders above the rest that's just going to run away from the pack. We're going to get some great conference races this season. Yeah. That I can guarantee. Also, a lot of great non-conference races. Just looking at our schedule, next week, Lucas at Hillsdale, Ontario at Centerburg. Another good one.
Upper Sandusky at Mount Gilead. Mount Gilead with the big win tonight. That's Granville at Clear Fork. Cary coming off a loss. They have to go to Galion. Lexington at Shelby as well. We have a lot of great games, just not only around the state, but right here on the OH.Report, and it's only week 2.
So you guys know where to go for high school football here in North Central Ohio and beyond. That's right. OH.Report is the place. We're going to have 6 live streams, I think, for you guys next week, a couple of highlights, and then, as always, we're going to try to get it a little bit closer to 11:30 start time next Friday night, and we hope to see you there. But for me and the entire staff out here, don't forget, on Monday, we are going to be unleashing our first edition of the Friday Night Phenoms, as well as the top plays of the week. And who votes better than anybody on that? Typically K-Mac country. We have plenty of your games, so you'll have some options out there. And I would love to see some other teams and fan bases from around the area step up and try to take them down. Don't let the guys in the Berg or the East Knox Bulldogs fans push you out of the way. Make sure that your voice is heard, even though K-Mac Plus is like, come on, man. That's what football is all about out here. So make sure we're going to unveil those on Monday. You can get your votes in, and then we will, next Friday night, give you the winners. That's how it's going to go every week. Monday, you find out who is up for the awards. Friday night, you find out who the big winner is. But for me and my staff, it's been a very fun but long week 1. So I think we're going to go try to get some shut-eye. And we'll see you guys again next week right here on the Pigskin.